For more discussion on this topic, we are joined by Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, live from New Delhi, Bhuvan Lal, author and filmmaker from Los Angeles. Bhuvan, can you describe how have you had to evacuate from your home or office?
This is an incredible situation, unbelievable completely. While my family and I are safe here in Los Angeles, the situation is basically out of control. For the past 5 days, the fires have been growing on the west side of Los Angeles. And several of my friends had to evacuate, move lock, stock, and barrel as fast as they could to safer places. We have also moved closer to Disneyland, which is in Anaheim, fairly far away from Los Angeles. So we are safe here.
Were you in your home when your office or home caught fire?
From many parts of Los Angeles, you can see smoke rising, even fires across hills. And it's like a war zone because there are choppers and air assets deployed by the government right now to contain the fire. The city is shocked. It has never experienced this in its entire history. Lots of people have moved to hotels. All the big hotels are taken over. All the shelters are filled with people. Many people have pets and they have to move with their pets and take care of their pets. Some people keep horses on their backyards. And
Whereabouts are you living right now?
As the fires have moved in the West LA area and they have basically hit the Palisades, and now they are increasingly coming towards 405 freeway, which is near Brentwood, Bel Air. So a lot of people have to evacuate from the West LA area, even Santa Monica. And we have had to move from there to Anaheim.
Did you get help from the fire department in evacuation and rehabilitation?
The city has come together in many ways. The firefighters and the first responders have done an absolutely marvelous job. They're still at it, 24/7. You can't even imagine the number of choppers in the air. There are about 14, 15 choppers I saw, just picking up water, putting it out, and precision flying by big tanker planes. The US Air Force planes from other places, they've all come together and they are trying their best to extinguish the fire. One of the major landmarks here is the Getty Museum, which houses treasures worth about $3 to $4 billion. And that is being saved right now as we speak. They're trying their best to put water over there and control the fire and contain it. The winds are making it difficult. Today the winds are milder, but initially the winds were very harsh and they were making the job extremely difficult. But the firefighters were at it and they have done a very good job. They're still at it. My salute to them. The city has also offered a lot of support. In a situation like this, all the resources are available. It's tough. It's very tough because people are angry. You imagine losing your home, your entire belonging, the entire family history getting wiped out, people's entire libraries, photographs, memorabilia, personal belongings, all going up in smoke in 30 minutes. So people are angry and they are venting their anger at the government. And the government has limited resources, limited budgets. And they are working very hard. They are trying to contain it and do whatever they can.
Gautam Mukherjee, we obviously heard from Bhuvan there that the situation is dire. How can a community prepare for this? And what do you think after this whole thing is done, hopefully sooner rather than later, what can the government do to make sure something like this never happens again?
Well, one, there are two places this happens regularly. One is Australia, where there's a lot of brushland, and in California, where there is a lot of brushland. And with high winds, it catches the buildings which are mainly made out of wood. So it's extremely difficult. The only things, just as in the case of low-lying areas, they make bunds and dams, earthenware dams to act as a break. I can only think of that they create in the brushland some sort of breaks for the fire not to come deeply inside. The other thing is the brush has to be cleared. If there is something which is so easy to ignite in a hot weather climate, then this is bound to happen again and again. The once it already comes into the residential areas and catches a lot of buildings, it is generally too late.
Gautam Mukherjee, what do you think is the role of climate change in this? Obviously, temperatures around the world have been going up. Does this contribute to the frequency of things like this going on?
Probably, but that's a very large issue. But I do know that in California, this happens quite often, much before it became fashionable to talk of climate change, and it's just the same in Australia. So it's the preventive measures, the windbreaks, the gullies that you can create in order to stop the fire from coming into the residential areas. That is something that the government could work on. They have apparently not done anything based on previous fires, except for trying to put them out once they start raging. And at that point in time, there is loss of life, loss of property of a huge order. And then they go back to doing nothing.
Thank you very much, Gautam, for joining us for that report. We're going to move back to Bhuvan in Los Angeles. I'm just wondering, some reports are stating that fire hydrants went dry and there is not enough water to put out the flames. Are you angry with the government? Are other people angry with the government for this issue?
Yes, yeah, there is fire shortage issues in certain parts and in the initial parts. The requirement was 4 times of what is actually normally available, and they were not prepared. So those issues have come up, and some of the houses that have been lost because the fire hydrants didn't have enough water. But we would hope other resources from the sea, elsewhere reservoirs, will be put into place to get rid of this problem and cope with the issue. It's a massive fire, it's the size of Manhattan. That's the size of this fire. So it's not always easy to have enough water for such a situation. But there have been, in future they'll have to plan for better resources for this situation.
Well, Los Angeles is among one of the richest parts of the US. Even then, the infrastructure was not adequate to protect its residents from the chaos. Who do you think is to blame?
The LA city has some of the richest people and celebrities living here, film stars. So it's a very prominent place on the world map. It is also going to host the next Olympics. So a lot of people are looking at Los Angeles right now as a place where the next Summer Olympics are going to be held. And a fire like this, it's once in probably many hundreds of years, is a very unusual phenomenon. And it's very easy to blame the government for it. And that's the first call. People go in that direction. But there are other problems that we have to face now. There are climate change issues. There are resources which are not deployed enough for maintenance of such infrastructure that can take care of natural calamities. We have to be better prepared for the future. And natural calamities are global. So, will be a long-term planning for this so that you can take care of such situations in the future. There's a lot of learning here, I would say. I would not like to blame anybody per se, but because the blame game is going on, and it's a waste of time. We have to find a positive way of finding solutions to problems rather than just scoring brownie points on political issues.
How long do you think it will take for you to rebuild?
So the city is gearing up to get back and get started all over again. People who have lost their houses are now going to go back and start rebuilding their lives in their homes. I would assume it will take about 6 months at least for this to happen. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy for anyone to go back and start all over again, but it's a process, and there's a lot of emotional baggage and emotional situations to handle, psychological situations to handle, which we'll all have to do together as a community. And here in LA, I feel people will have, and I've seen people here coming together, very, very supportive of each other. Lots of companies have come forward, to help. For example, Uber is helping people with drops, free drops. Airbnb is giving out their facilities and rooms for people to house. So there is a lot of other things happening on the side, the humanitarian side, the side of America the world doesn't normally see. I've seen a young kid standing on the street and just distributing water bottles to firefighters who are coming out of the fire zones. There are a lot of nice things also you see in situations like this when the worst of the environment is there. So it's in that direction too.
What lessons would you say you've learned from this whole situation?
Lots of lessons here. Lots of lessons. Lesson number one: be prepared for any eventuality. Personally. So you should be ready to gather your belongings in 30 minutes, get in a car, get on a freeway, get out of it. So that's for a natural calamity. And this region is also prone to earthquakes. So people normally keep themselves ready and are ready for such situations. But going forward in the future, you will need a lot of that. A lot of people will have to have, for example, I'll give you a very specific example. A lot of people have electric cars. So the electric cars got into a lot of trouble.
Thank you very much, Bhuvan, for joining us live from Los Angeles.